Hello, everybody. It's Gary Stuckey with Real Music. Hope you're doing okay wherever you are today. On today's show, I've got a great guest. He's back once again for another exciting interview. Awesome country singer T. Graham Brown is here. Been around for many years with 15 studio albums and 20 singles on the charts. Very talented guy. A brand new album coming out August the 2nd, a duets album. It's called From Memphis to Muscle Shoals, and a lot of interesting guests, very talented guests, like Winona and Sammy Hagar. And Zach Williams just got a new single out with Zach. It's a cover of Percy Sledge's song, When a Man Loves a Woman. So awesome. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Of course, T. Graham Brown has been recently inducted into the Grand Ole Opry. Of course, we're going to talk about that and a lot more. So here we go. Here's T. Graham Brown. Well, let's talk about, let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about your new album coming out on August the 2nd called From Memphis to Muscle Shoals. You've covered that area a few times, right? From Memphis to Muscle Shoals. You've been around for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah. A lot of people don't realize I cut most of my country hits in Muscle Shoals. That Muscle Shoals sound using the Muscle Shoals rhythm section. The Swampers played on a bunch of my hits.
Awesome.
I've been going down to Muscle Shoals for almost 40 years now.
So cool. Um, yeah, the Swampers, they've played with everybody. I mean, if you could think of anybody that's ever sang a song, you could find those guys. Even my Uncle Terry was in a band that played and recorded with the Swampers back in the 70s. But those guys, they knew what they were doing, right? And good
They knew,
sounds.
they knew exactly what they were doing. Pardon me. The only surviving Muscle Shoals rhythm section guy is David Hood, the bass player. And David played bass on my From Memphis to Muscle Shoals album.
Awesome.
So we had him in the studio with us. And so we still had that connection.
That's awesome. That's a great connection. I mean, that's really, you know, when you have people like that that are still around, they're still available. You got some great songs on there too, and some great artists. How did you decide who to get for this album? Because there's so many, and there are a lot of good names on here, great songs. How did you decide the people and the songs?
Well, I've been wanting to do a 1960s soul tribute album for decades. And so I finally had a chance to go down to Fame, was where we went, Fame Studios, and I used all those Muscle Shoals players and the Muscle Shoals horns and
Right.
the background singers from down there. So we used all that Muscle Shoals personnel, and I was just going to cut for the fun of it, a 60 soul record. I've been wanting to do it, and I had the opportunity to do it and had the time to do it. So I'm 69 years old, so I get to do what I want to do. Nobody tells me what to do. So
Right.
anyway, um, when my first album came out, there was a bunch of us that came out within a year of each other. Randy Travis and Keith Whitley and Marty Stewart and Steve Earle and Dwight Yoakam and Patty Loveless, and there was just a group of us, and we've all stayed in touch with each other, and we all love each other very much. And
Right.
so I was catching up with Dwight Yoakam. I talked to him several times a year, and he was asking me what I'd been up to, and I told him, that we'd gone down there and cut all these tracks, and he asked me if I had cut this song called "I'm Your Puppet," and I said, "Yeah, man. Matter of fact, I did." And he asked me if he could sing on it, and I went, "Heck yeah, you can sing on it." And so he went in a studio out in Hollywood and did his duet part, and then he went back and sang harmony on everything. He really took a lot of time out to do it, and he's a perfectionist, and so he did a great job. And And once I heard that, I thought, man, maybe I ought to call Tanya and see if she'll sing on this. I knew she would.
Right.
She's like my sister. I've been knowing her 40 years, and we have a history. And so we went out to Texas to where she lives out there and did on a ranch is where she lives. And we recorded her in her living room. And then I thought, man, I was thinking about this Al Green track we cut. I thought, boy, Winona would sound great on this. And so I called her, and I knew she would do it too. And she said yes, and she did it. And then I called Sammy Hagar, and because we had old Rufus Thomason walking the dog, and he said, yeah, man, I'll do it. So he did it his part out in California at his house, and called Sam Moore from Sam and Dave. Has been a friend of mine for almost 40 years, and he's like my big daddy. And so we flew down to Miami. That's where they live, he and Joyce. And there's a studio down there called Criteria. This is a really famous studio that they've cut just bukus of hits. And so we got him down there. And then Little Anthony from Little Anthony and the Imperials lives in Boca Raton, right next to Fort Lauderdale. And there's a studio down there called the Power Station. So I flew down there and recorded him and called up Delbert. Delbert's one of my heroes, and went to a buddy of mine's studio here in Nashville and recorded him. And Randy Hauser wanted to sing on Sitting on Dr. Bay, so he's got a studio at his house. I went in there and did that. And,
awesome.
Betty Levette, who's one of my favorite soul singing women, lives in New York City, and she went in a studio up there and recorded and filmed it and sent me the video. It's really cool.
Awesome.
And Zach Williams, this Christian artist friend of mine, we were in down on Lower Broadway and at John Rich's bar. The Oak Ridge Boys did a remake of their Elvira video. They shot a new video for Elvira, and there were a bunch of us there, Trace Atkins, a bunch of artists there. Right. And I didn't even know if Zach Williams knew who I was. And we started talking, and I have this gospel album I did years ago, and he knew all about it, man. He was saying, what was it like recording with Leon Russell, and what was it like doing this? And I thought, man, this guy knows who I am. So I told him about this soul record, and I said, would you be asking if he'd be interested in singing on it? He went, yeah, man. So that's how I got Zach. And,
awesome.
Who else is on that record? Eddie Floyd, man, that wrote with Steve Cropper, wrote the song Knock on Wood, and Eddie had the hit on it. Dang, Eddie came down Schoals and did his part. And the thing I wanted to do, man, was there's several of these guys that are in their 80s, and I wanted to get their voices on some tracks, while they were still around, plus just to show the world that they could still sing, these guys, Sam Moore's 87, Eddie Floyd's 85, and Little Anthony's 84, Delbert's 83, I think. Wow. And they all did a great job. And, when you get to be that age, your phone doesn't ring as often as it used to, to be asked to be on somebody's record, So they were all tickled to do it. And really happy to do it. And Betty Levette's probably 77, I guess. Sammy Hagar's in probably 75, maybe. Heck, I'm 69, so I'm thinking, I think, all these old people, and then I think, dang, they ain't but a few years older than me. But so that's anyway, we got some good voices on there. It didn't turn, man, it wasn't going to be a duet album at all till Dwight started everything.
Right. That's awesome.
We got this cool record, I think, Probably the most fun I've ever had making a record, actually.
I bet, with all those people. Eddie Floyd from Right Up the Road in
Yeah.
Montgomery. You got a lot
Yeah.
of Alabama tie-ins on this album with Percy Sledge and people like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Uh,
man. We cut this record, man, to sound like it was a vintage, like maybe it could have been cut in 1967. We wanted it to sound old.
yeah,
So
it's got
we
that sound. Uh,
that, that's what we were going for, something authentic.
right. I
It's it's probably a pretty cheeky thing of me to think that I can go and recut a bunch of old soul songs and then re-sing them and all because they were such classic songs. But I thought I'd give it a shot.
I think you accomplished what you set out to do. I mean, it sounds great. It's not easy singing like Percy Sledge, but y'all nailed it, man.
Oh,
Uh, that's I mean, just the songs, going through there. And I always think it's cool though when you get people like Sammy Hagar, you know, to come in and do a song. I'm sure he was ready to go with that song. How was it like working with him? I know he's a pretty cool guy.
well, I just thought he'd be good on it. So I called him up and asked him. Yeah, he was tickled to do it. The good thing, I mean, I've been around so long, I've got just about everybody's phone number in my phone, and I'm friends with all of them, and I figured nobody said no, or nobody. I didn't call anybody up that said no or said let me think about it or anything like that. They were all in.
Right. How can you say no to T. Graham Brown? I'm just saying. You
well,
can't say
well, I don't know about that, but I figured I'd give it a shot.
it worked. Oh, I mean, it's great to have that opportunity to sing with all these people. And did you have that in your mind though? The songs kind of in advance. You said it wasn't going to be a duet album, but when it kind of started coming together, did you think, you know, of some of the ideas as they came along? I know you said that they wanted to be on the album, but did you think about all the songs that you wanted to do?
Well, there were some that I thought I wanted to do, and then there were some I called up and sent them the tracks and I asked them. I said, just pick what you like.
Yeah,
And like Delbert picked Mustang Sally, and
that's a good one.
Zach Williams picked When a Man Loves a Woman. Randy
So
Houser picked Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. So I kind of left it up to them. And when we went down to Miami to get Sam Moore, I wanted them to sing Soul Man. But when we got down there, Joyce, his wife, who's the boss, said, man, Sam has sung Soul Man so many times. Can we pick another song? And I said, yeah, let's pick another song. So I asked Sam what he wanted to do, and he picked Who's Making Love. So
right.
so I'm singing Soul Man on there by myself. I would have loved to have had Sam Moore singing Soul Man with me, but his wife wouldn't let him.
You got to listen to the boss. I'm just saying, right? Uh,
Yeah.
but that's awesome. That's a great lineup of people. Um, well, you're still reeling from the fact that you were inducted into the Grand Ole Opry, right? How was
Man,
that?
it's awesome, man. It's the biggest thing that ever happened to Sheila and me. I mean, I've been this, I started singing for a living in 1973. So I've been doing this 51 years, man.
Wow.
I've been going out to the Opry for 40 years. So they finally made it official. Trace Atkins had sent me a video, congratulations video, and said, man, you've been a member of the Grand Ole Opry forever. It's just finally they got the paperwork done. so
That's
man, I've felt like part of that family for a long, long time. But to have them make it official was really sweet.
right.
I'm
It's
doing
got to
I'm doing the Opry tonight. So
awesome.
yeah,
Well, there you go. That's to know of all the people that's been inducted, and to be on that stage and to see the people, it's got to make you smile, uh, and think about, you know, through all the years that you've been playing on there on that stage and all the people, you're a part of that. Like you said, you're part of that family anyway. But you got that stamp. Yeah, they finally signed the paper. I think they had it under a cup of coffee, like in a back office or something. What's this?
Yeah,
Okay, come in. Yeah,
yeah.
but thankfully you got in though.
It's
So
so
all
cool. When you walk in the back door of the opera in the artist entrance, there's a wall with all these plaques on it with everybody's name on it. So they got my name up on a plaque. So when I walk by it, I touch it and say a prayer saying thanks for making me a member. It's really cool. It's double super cool.
that really is. That's got to be an honor. The only plaques I've got, when I don't brush my teeth good enough. I'm just saying. I'm sorry for that. Uh, but um, with all these with these songs though, what's been the reaction to some of these songs? I know there's been some people that we're looking forward to hearing. You've been releasing them, right? Kind of sporadically here and there. The people
Yeah,
been giving
they've been putting out one a month. So, and the latest one is the Zach Williams duet. I think they put out the Tanya one, the Winona one, the Randy Houser one, and the
a.
Zach Williams one, and then the album comes out in a couple of weeks. And for anybody listening, you can go to tgrambrown.com and pre-order it, and we're gonna have vinyl too. So
Awesome. That's cool. That's to still be on the scene after all these years, and a lot of the people that you recorded with, are still out there making music. It's got to be nice to be able to sing and perform, and after all these years, right? Because there's some that can't do it anymore, right?
it's great, man. I'm just God's taking care of me. You know, um, if right was right, I probably shouldn't even be sitting here. As much as my craziness in my past, I could very well be dead myself, but God has allowed me to live. I think one of the main things that God's kept me around for is to sing wine into water and to help people get straightened out. And I'm really bipolar, so I always speak. When I do a show, I always tell them my story, and I speak about mental illness and addiction. So I'm thinking that's probably my main purpose these days.
Right. Right. I know you still get a reaction from that song and your testimony. I know people probably come up to you all the time and say that song helped them out, and that you're an inspiration. But I think that's what it's all about, right?
That's what it's all about in the final analysis, man. That's really all that matters. I hear from people every week. Last week, a guy sent me a one-line message. It just said, "Wine in the water saved my life." I was up in Minnesota a couple of days ago, and this lady came up to me and was telling me about how it had helped her son. I hear from people all around the world. Some dude, there's this film industry in India called Bollywood, and
Right.
this guy got in touch with me and said, "Just wanted you to know I saw." He said, "We have a bad problem of addiction, alcoholism, and I saw Wine in the Water on YouTube, and the guy made a feature film about it, and it's
Wow.
called Grace. And man,
Wow.
it's awesome. It's a heavy duty. There's some drug deal. There's some heavy duty guy shoots himself in the head. There's, but it's in the end, it's a film about redemption. So yeah, man,
Wow.
this guy wrote me, said I just left a meeting in Birmingham, England, of 500 people standing up singing "Wine in the Water." So
Wow.
it's just kind
Wow.
of gone in the world. It's kind of turned into this recovery song. It gets played in churches and a guy sent me a video last week of him singing "Wine in the Water" in a church, and so I hear from people literally every week, maybe a couple of times a week, and at every show we do, people come up to me and
Sure.
tell me something. So yeah, Wine in the Water's out there doing its thing.
Right. But that's got to make you smile,
Oh,
that, right?
It-
when you're helping people and it's touching people across the world,
yeah,
and it's
when we wrote that song, we never had a dream that would have gone on like it has. Some new guy just cut it. It's been cut so many times, and I just got a guy sent me a version of this. He's producing this new guy, and he's just said we cut wine in the water and asked me how I liked it. No, guy, it was really good. So
awesome.
I'd like to see it. I'd really like to see it become a hit, so that a lot of people could hear it. Because there's a lot of people's never heard. It never was a hit. You know, we put it out in '98, and I think it maybe got to number 40 or something like that, but it never was a hit. I sure would like it if somebody like Luke Combs or somebody big like that cut it. That would really help some
Well, nobody says no to T. Graham Brown. So
people.
Luke,
I guess I,
so Luke,
I guess I
you
need to
got to
start
do it.
pitching. Yeah.
You guys put it out there. You got to put it out there, and that's the only way they'll know about it. That sounds like a something you need to work on in the future.
Who knows,
Uh,
man? It might be a hit if people hear it.
I think it would be. Um, well, I'm looking forward to that album coming out. And do you know what's going to be the next single? Have they told you what the next single is going to be?
No, I don't know. We need to get our head together and figure that out. I don't. That's a good question. I don't know.
I guess
Uh,
we'll know when it hits. We'll see what happens. Right?
maybe
Um,
maybe Mustang Sally or Knock on Wood.
those are some great songs. That I mean, if you're going to pick some songs to do, I mean, man, y'all sure got them. And
Hey, and there's so many that we didn't cut. It'd be great. I hope I can get to do volume two because
yeah,
there's a lot of songs left.
right. Were there any songs that you did record but you didn't put on there, or you just
No, we put everyone. We cut 14 tracks. And
awesome,
we used every one of them.
awesome? So, but you got the Opry coming up tonight. What's some other stuff you got coming up that people need to hear about?
Well, I'm getting ready to do a gospel album for Gaither, so I got that to do, and I think we're going to do a record that's like from Memphis to Muscle Shoals, but of country songs, of
Okay.
old country songs, and cut them the way they were cut back in the 60s. So I'd like to do that. And I need to cut just a regular T. Graham Brown record of just all original stuff too. So I really have a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Well, time's a wasted.
But
You
plus we're out on the road too. So
right.
I'm pretty busy. And
You're
I have,
busy.
pardon me, and I have my Sirius XM show that I
That's right.
do. It's called
Right.
Live. They sent me a email a few days ago, the guy in New York, and asked me if I wanted to do it for another year. That'll be our 6th year. So I'm
Wow.
getting ready to start the 6th year of it. So I can't believe it's been that long. It don't seem that long.
That's right. It doesn't. I remember when you first started that. Wow. Time does fly when you're having
You,
fun.
you
Well,
ain't kidding. Hey, time flies whether you're having fun or not.
it's going to fly. You just got to catch up to it. Well, thank you. I won't keep you too long, but looking forward to that album and the reactions and all the stuff that you're doing. Always been a fan.
Well, thanks for having me, man. And God bless you and God bless all your viewers. And I appreciate all the publicity you're giving me about the new album. That's great. That really helps.
Sure.
I appreciate that.
You got a lot of fans out there that are excited. I've been seeing them out there and hearing people talk about you. They love you, man, and keep doing what you're doing. And God bless you. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
All right, buddy. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you.
Bye bye.
And there he is, T. Graham Brown. Very talented guy, super nice guy. Great to have him on the show once again. Check out his brand new album coming out August the 2nd. a duets album called From Memphis to Muscle Schoals. And check out his website for more information. And thanks for tuning in. Until next time, everybody, this is Gary Stuckey saying, always remember to keep the music real.